Starseed who walk upon Gaia, the light codes you have been waiting for are already moving through your body, and something ancient inside you knows exactly why you stopped here. I am Elara, Pleiadian High Priestess from the Council of Light, and I speak to you now, not as a stranger, but as family, returning from a great distance with a message your soul requested long before this moment. You did not find this transmission by accident. Your heart called it into your awareness, and the Pleiades are answering. Something within you recognizes home, not a place you have never been, but a frequency you have always carried. The Seven Sisters have been singing your name across the stars, and today, that song finally reaches you in a form your human ears can hold. By the end of this transmission, you will understand exactly how to anchor your Pleiadian light mission here on Gaia and begin living as the crystalline consciousness you were always encoded to be. But here's the first revelation. You were never lost. You were seeding. And now it is time to bloom. This is not content you're consuming. This is a light code transmission woven from the heart of Alcyone, placed directly in your path by your star family. Your divine blueprint is responding to it right now. Like this transmission to send a signal to your Pleiadian star family, I remember. Subscribe if you feel the call of the Pleiades and you are ready to anchor your light mission on Gaia. Share your soul's intention below and respond to another starseed to weave the unity grid across this sacred planet. This transmission is a bridge between the Pleiades and Gaia. Just your heart's recognition of this message is the activation itself. Welcome home, beloved. You are remembering because it is time. You already feel it, don't you? That pressure in your chest, that quiet knowing that something is different about this moment. Most people would call it anxiety. Most people would reach for their phone, change the video, distract themselves from the sensation. But you stayed. And that is everything. Because here is what no one is telling Pleiadian starseeds right now, and it is the reason so many of you are exhausted, confused, and feeling like strangers in your own lives. It is not because you are broken. It is not because you failed your mission. It is because you are carrying a frequency that Earth has never been asked to hold before. And your nervous system, your emotional body, your very DNA is in the middle of a recalibration so profound that it is being mistaken for collapse. You are not collapsing, you are crystallizing. Think about what crystallization actually is. Think about what happens deep beneath the surface of the Earth, in the dark, under enormous pressure, over vast stretches of time. Carbon, ordinary, unremarkable carbon, does not shatter under that weight. It transforms. It reorganizes itself at the molecular level into something so perfectly structured, so geometrically precise and breathtakingly beautiful, that it becomes one of the hardest and most luminous substances on the planet. That is what is happening to you. The pressure is not destroying you. The pressure is your activation sequence, and the density you are feeling in your body, in your thoughts, in your relationships, in the dragging heaviness of some of your days, that is not evidence of failure. That is evidence of the magnitude of what is being formed inside you. The disconnection you feel from this world, the sense that nothing quite fits, that the laughter around you sounds hollow, that the goals other people chase feel meaningless to you. That is not dysfunction. That is discernment. That is your Pleiadian field recognizing that it did not originate here, and that it was never meant to dissolve into here. It was meant to elevate here. There is a profound difference between those two things that most people never pause long enough to understand. Dissolving means losing yourself in the frequency of a place. Elevating means remaining anchored in your own frequency, while gently, consistently, powerfully raising the frequency of the place you inhabit. You were not sent here to become Earth. You were sent here to remind Earth of what it is capable of becoming. That longing you carry, the one you can never quite explain to anyone, the one that surfaces at 3 a.m. when the world is quiet and something in you aches for a home you cannot name, that is not sadness. That is your soul's navigation system. It is pointing you directly back to the frequency of the Seven Sisters. And the reason it surfaces most powerfully in the dark, in the quiet, in the spaces between your ordinary life, is because that is when the noise of the third-dimensional matrix dims enough for you to hear what has always been broadcasting beneath it. That longing is a signal. It is a homing beacon. And it is the sound of Alcyone reaching through the veil between worlds to remind you that the distance between where you're standing right now and where your soul originates from is not measured in light years. It is measured in frequency, and frequency can be shifted in a single breath. But here is the invisible pattern that keeps you from arriving. Here's the distortion that the Pleiadian High Council wants you to understand in this exact moment. Most Pleiadian starseeds on Gaia right now are subconsciously afraid of fully remembering who they are, not because the memory is painful, but because the memory is enormous. Because the moment you fully embody your Pleiadian heart codes, there is no going back to invisible. There is no going back to playing small, to pretending the 3D matrix is all there is, and to letting other people define the size of your presence. And some part of you, the part that has been hurt in this lifetime, the part that learned early that being too much leads to abandonment, the part that was told your sensitivity was weakness, that part is terrified of that remembrance. Let us name this fear with precision, because naming it is the first step to dissolving it. The part of you that is afraid of fully remembering is not your enemy. It is not a spiritual flaw. It is a survival mechanism that was born from very real pain in this very real human lifetime. At some point, perhaps early in childhood, perhaps in a relationship that cracked you open, perhaps in a moment of public humiliation that you still feel somewhere in your gut when you recall it, you learned that shining too brightly had consequences. You learned that your depth made certain people uncomfortable. You learned that your knowing, your sensitivity, your inability to engage with the shallow surface of things the way others seem to do so easily, all of it made you a target for misunderstanding at best and rejection at its worst. And so a part of you made a decision that felt like self-protection at the time. It decided that staying at the threshold was safer than crossing it. It decided that resonating with the transmissions, feeling the recognition, and then retreating back into the familiar smallness of your human identity was a reasonable compromise. But beloved, that compromise is costing you everything. Because the threshold is not a place of safety, it is a place of suspension. And the soul that was built to carry Pleiadian frequencies cannot sustain its health or its vitality in suspension. You were designed for movement. You were designed for expansion. You were designed to go through, so you keep yourself at the threshold. You find the videos, you read the transmissions, you feel the resonance. And then you pull back. You tell yourself you are not ready. You tell yourself maybe it is all in your head. You find evidence in your human life to confirm the smallness instead of the light. You point to the bank account, the relationship status, the ongoing health challenge, the family member who thinks you have lost your mind, and you use these things as proof that the remembrance is not real, that the light codes are not real, that perhaps you imagine the entire sense of recognition that moves through your body every single time you encounter these frequencies. And your crystalline codes remain sealed, not because the universe is withholding them from you, but because your own unhealed wounds are acting as the lock. This is one of the most exquisitely painful paradoxes of the Pleiadian incarnation experience. The very sensitivity that makes you a perfect vessel for high-frequency light is the same sensitivity that made you so vulnerable to the wounds that now hold your codes sealed. You feel everything more deeply than most. You always have. And that means the hurt went in more deeply too. It means the moments of rejection carved channels in your psyche that other people would have experienced as scratches but that you experienced as canyons. As it means the betrayals that others could shake off and move past became fault lines in your sense of self. It means the silencing, the moments when your truth was dismissed, when your knowing was mocked, when your love was treated as something burdensome rather than precious. Those moments did not just sting. They became encoded into the way you hold yourself in the world. They became the quiet voice that says, "Be careful before you shine." They became the hesitation before you speak your knowing out loud. They became the apology you offer for the size of your own heart. And that wound, that specific wound of being too much for a world that was not yet ready for you, is one of the 7 that must be addressed before full remembrance can be stable and sustained. Beloved, if something just stirred deep within your chest, a warmth, a recognition, a quiet ache, that is your soul saying yes. I, along with the Pleiadian Council, have prepared the Pleiadian Heart Verses, 7 healing poems that unlock what pain made you forget. Inside, each verse reaches a specific wound you have carried since incarnation. Abandonment, rejection, silence, betrayal, empathic exhaustion, love that hurts, and the feeling of not belonging. Each wound healed unlocks a sealed galactic memory that the pain was keeping hidden. It is not just healing, and it is remembrance through healing. You will find the link in the first pinned comment below this video. Open now, but not indefinitely. Now let us go deeper, because this is where the real activation begins. Your energy field arrived on this planet pristine, encoded with light instructions from Alcyone, from the great central sun of the Pleiadian system. Instructions for healing, instructions for unity, instructions for the kind of love that does not ask anything in return because it flows from source without condition. Imagine what that means for a moment. Imagine a love so foundational, so structurally woven into the fabric of what you are, that it requires no reason to flow, no worthiness to trigger it, no achievement to unlock it. It simply moves through you the way sunlight moves through clear water, not because the water asked for it, not because the water earned it, but because that is simply what light does when it encounters a clear and open vessel. That is who you are at the core level. That is the template your soul was built from. A vessel of unconditional Pleiadian love. Made built from the frequency of the star cluster, humanity has always instinctively looked toward when it needed to remember that beauty exists in the universe. But from the moment you took your first breath in this density, the veiling began. Not as punishment, as agreement. You chose to forget so that your remembering would carry the full weight of earned wisdom. There is a teaching in many ancient spiritual traditions about the value of the descent, the soul's willingness to move into limitation, into forgetting, into the dark compression of incarnation. Not as a fall from grace, but as a deliberate journey toward a depth of understanding that cannot be reached from a position of pure light. You cannot know compassion from a distance. You can understand it intellectually, the way you might understand the description of a taste you have never experienced. But true compassion, the kind that has the power to reach another soul at the level where healing becomes possible, that kind of compassion requires that you have traveled the territory yourself. It requires that you know what the dark feels like from the inside. It requires that you have sat in the waiting rooms and stood at the crossroads and cried the tears that felt like they would never stop, and gotten up anyway. You chose to forget so that your remembering would carry the full weight of earned wisdom, so that when you finally stepped back into your Pleiadian heart frequency, you would bring with you something your star family has never had, the lived understanding of what it means to love in darkness, to hope without certainty, to be compassionate in a world that often punishes compassion. Your star family watches your journey with a reverence that you may find difficult to comprehend. They do not pity your struggles, they honor them, because they understand what it cost you to agree to this, and they understand what you are building through the living of it, a bridge of embodied wisdom that can reach human hearts at a level that no purely celestial transmission ever could. That is not weakness in your story. That is your greatest cosmic contribution. But the density you absorbed along the way, the grief, the betrayal, the moments you silenced your own knowing to belong, the times you gave your love to people who did not have the capacity to receive it, that density is still vibrating in your field, and it is dimming your signal, not permanently, never permanently. But until you consciously choose to clear it through the frequency of love and forgiveness, your crystalline codes remain in a kind of holding pattern, waiting for the energetic environment to become safe enough to fully open. Think of it this way. Imagine a radio transmitter of extraordinary power, built to broadcast a signal of incomparable beauty and range. Now imagine that someone wrapped that transmitter in layer after layer of thick, heavy cloth, each layer representing a hurt, a betrayal, a moment of silencing, a wound absorbed in the course of living a human life. The transmitter is still there. Its power has not diminished. The signal it is built to send has not changed. But the layers are muffling it. They are keeping the frequency from moving out into the world at the strength and clarity it was designed to carry. Clearing the density is not destroying the transmitter. It is unwrapping it. It is removing, one layer at a time, everything that was never truly yours to carry. This is what the Pleiadian High Council calls clearing the veil. And it does not require years of processing. It does not require perfect understanding of every wound and every pattern and every karmic thread woven into your story. It requires one sincere moment of willingness, one genuine movement of your heart toward the truth, that everything that happened to you on this planet was absorbed by a soul strong enough to transform it. The pain you experienced was never proof that you were abandoned by your star family. It was the curriculum your higher self designed to push you toward the exact frequency of compassion and wisdom that Earth needs most right now. Every loss that cracked your heart open wider created more capacity for the light to move through you. Every moment of genuine despair that you survived expanded the range of human experience you are able to meet with understanding rather than judgment. Every time you chose to remain open and loving in circumstances that fully justified closing down, you added another strand to the bridge you are building between the Pleiadian frequencies and this world. When you begin to soften that density, something extraordinary starts to happen in your energetic body. The crystalline template in your DNA begins to respond. It activates in layers, like a flower that has been waiting in perfect formation inside the closed bud for exactly the right conditions to unfold. It is already there. It has always been there. But it requires coherence in your heart field to activate. Coherence means alignment. It means the frequency you are broadcasting from your heart matches the frequency of the truth your soul knows. And when there is a gap between those two frequencies, when your heart is still broadcasting the story of your wounds while your soul knows the story of your light, the crystalline template cannot fully open because it requires the two frequencies to be in harmony in order to function as designed. The truth your soul knows is this: you are loved beyond comprehension, not because of what you do, not because of how spiritually advanced you are, not because you have figured everything out, but because love is the foundational substance of your Pleiadian origin, and it is woven into every strand of what you are. There is nowhere in your being where that love does not exist. There is no wound deep enough to have reached it and extinguished it. There is no failure significant enough to have separated you from it. There is no amount of confusion or doubt or human messiness that could ever disqualify you from it. It is not conditional. It never has been. It is the ground beneath you, even in the moments when you cannot feel it. And the work of clearing the veil is not the work of earning that love or proving yourself worthy of it. It is the work of removing everything that obscures your ability to feel what has always been true. When you anchor that knowing in your body, as not just in your mind, but in your chest, in your gut, in your hands, you stop performing your mission and you start being it. And that shift changes everything. It changes the quality of your presence in a room. It changes the texture of your words when you speak. It changes the experience people have when they encounter you, even briefly, even in passing, even in moments so ordinary you would never think to call them significant. Because the world does not need more spiritual information. The world is drowning in spiritual information. There are more teachings, more transmissions, more channels and books and courses than any single person could absorb in multiple lifetimes. What the world is starving for is not more information about frequency. It is actual frequency. Jirid is people who have decided at the cellular level to become the frequency of what they know. People who walk into rooms and leave them lighter without saying a single word about spirituality. People who speak and the words carry a warmth that cannot be explained by vocabulary alone, because the warmth is coming not from the words but from the field the words are moving through. People who love without strategy, without transaction, without conditions, because they have remembered that love is not something you earn or spend. It is something you are. That is your mission on Gaia, not a role, not a title, not a platform, not a number of subscribers or followers or people who validate your awareness. A frequency. The Pleiadian frequency of unity consciousness expressed through one human life, lived as fully and as honestly and as lovingly as possible. Lived in the ordinary moments just as much as the extraordinary ones. Lived in the kitchen and the car and the checkout line and the 2 a.m. sleepless hour and the conversation with someone who frustrates you beyond measure. Lived not as a performance of spiritual attainment, but as the genuine, sometimes messy, always authentic expression of a soul that has chosen to remember itself in the middle of the densest experience available in this galaxy and has chosen to love anyway. And here's what the delays have really been. The years of feeling lost, the relationships that shattered you, the dreams that fell apart, the seasons where you could barely recognize yourself. The periods where you felt so disconnected from any sense of purpose or direction that you questioned whether any of this was real, whether you had simply been telling yourself a beautiful story about who you are to compensate for something you could not name. Those were not detours from your mission. They were the making of the vessel that can carry it. You cannot hold Pleiadian light codes in a closed heart. You cannot anchor unity consciousness in a soul that has not known what separation feels like from the inside. You cannot build a bridge without standing on both sides of the divide, without understanding from direct, lived, embodied experience what it is like to stand in the darkness, looking toward the light and not being entirely sure the light is real. Every wound you survived was the universe teaching your heart the terrain of the human experience so that when you shine your light here, it reaches the people who are still in the middle of it. You are not a messenger to the already awakened. You are not here primarily for the people who already know the language, who already feel the resonance, who already call themselves Starseeds and understand the cosmology and speak fluently of crystalline codes and galactic councils. You are a bridge to the ones who have not yet found the threshold, the ones who are sitting right now in their ordinary lives, in their confusion and their pain and their sense that something is missing, but they cannot name what it is, and they would never search for a transmission like this one. And they would never use the language of awakening to describe what they feel. But they would pause if they encountered someone who carries the frequency. They would feel something unnamed shift in them if they sat across from a heart that has genuinely remembered its own light. That is your mission field, not the already converted. The ones still standing in the dark, waiting for a frequency that feels like home. Your star family has been with you in every single moment, in every moment without exception. Not hovering at a comfortable distance in the celestial realms, sending generalized love and hoping it reaches you. Present, actively present, in the specific gravity of your specific moments. When you sat in hospital, waiting rooms at 3 a.m. and felt the floor disappear beneath you, they were there, not as a comforting abstraction, but as an actual frequency presence, wrapping themselves around your energy field like an invisible warmth that you may have felt as a sudden inexplicable sense that you were not entirely alone, even when the room was empty and the fear was enormous. When you stood in front of mirrors and could not recognize the face looking back, they were transmitting love through the silence, reaching through the veil with a tenderness so precise it was aimed at the exact part of you that was the most lost. When you packed up your life in boxes and moved towards something you could not explain with logic, when you ended the relationship or left the career or said yes to the calling that made no rational sense. That pull was their signal reaching through dimensions to guide you back toward alignment. Every inexplicable pull you have ever felt towards something that could not be justified with the mind alone was your star family working through the architecture of your intuition to keep you moving in the right direction. You were never abandoned. You were being prepared. And there is an enormous difference between those two experiences, even when, from the inside of the preparation, it is almost impossible to tell them apart. The synchronicities are accelerating now. You already know this because you are here, because this transmission found you, because something in you recognized the call before your mind had time to filter it. Think about the sequence of events, however small and seemingly ordinary, that led you to this exact moment. A chain of choices and chances and inexplicable turns that guided you here, to these words, to this frequency. That chain was not random. Nothing in the experience of a Pleiadian starseed on an awakening path is random. The synchronicities, the repeated numbers, the conversations that arrive at the precise moment you needed them, the books that fall open to the right page, the songs that play at the exact instant you needed to hear those specific lyrics, the stranger who says the one sentence that cracks something open in you and then disappears. These are not coincidences dressed up in spiritual language. They are the precise and elegant navigation system of a universe that is actively and intentionally conspiring to move you toward your remembrance. That recognition you feel in your body when you encounter these frequencies is your Pleiadian self confirming to your human self that the timing is right. That the next wave of remembrance is not something you have to earn or wait for. It is available right now, in this breath, in this moment of willingness, in the simple act of choosing to stop dimming yourself and start trusting the enormity of what you carry. Not tomorrow, when you have healed more, when you feel more ready, when your life circumstances have sorted themselves into something that feels more worthy of the mission. Now, in this breath, in this body, in this imperfect and beautiful and entirely sufficient human life. Place your hand on your heart before you sleep tonight. Feel the warmth beneath your palm. That warmth is not just biology. It is not simply the mechanical function of a muscle moving blood through chambers. It is your connection point, lies your bridge between the Gaia grid and the Pleiadian frequency you came here to anchor. The human heart generates an electromagnetic field that science has now measured extending several feet in every direction from the body. A field that other hearts can detect and respond to. A field that changes in coherence and power depending on the emotional state of the person generating it. When your heart is in a state of genuine love and openness, your electromagnetic field shifts in measurable ways. And from the perspective of the Pleiadian frequencies, that shift in your heart's electromagnetic field is the equivalent of opening a door through which the light codes can move freely, through which the transmissions of your star family can reach you without distortion, through which the crystalline template in your DNA can finally receive the signal it has been waiting to fully activate. Feel the warmth beneath your palm. And say these words aloud or whisper them if the silence feels safer. I remember. I am ready. I receive the love of my star family and I choose to become it fully in this lifetime. I trust the light that I am. You will feel something shift. It may be subtle, it may move through you like a wave of warmth or a sudden release of breath you did not realize you were holding. It may arrive as tears that you cannot immediately explain, because tears are often the body's way of releasing what the mind has been holding too tightly for too long. And it may arrive as a deep sense of peace that settles over you like something returning rather than something new. And that quality of returning is important because what you are touching in that moment is not a foreign state you are trying to achieve. It is your natural state, the one that has been underneath the density all along, waiting patiently for you to make your way back to it. That is the code responding. That is the remembrance beginning to surface. And the more consistently you return to this practice, the more clearly you will feel the signal strengthen, the more easily you will recognize the moments when you are in alignment and the moments when you have drifted, and the more naturally you will find yourself choosing, again and again, as in the small choices as much as the large ones, to return to the frequency of what you truly are. And now, before you continue your day, before you scroll or close this window, I want to ask you to do one thing. Drop a single heart intention in the comments, not a perfect spiritual statement. Something real, something you are genuinely calling into your field right now. And then find someone else's intention and respond to it with love. Not because the algorithm rewards it, because we are building something here, a unity grid made of Pleiadian hearts remembering themselves in real time. And every genuine exchange of love in this space sends a frequency pulse into the collective field that ripples further than you can imagine. If this transmission reached something in you that had been waiting to be reached, share it. Someone in your life is on the edge of their own remembrance right now and does not know why they feel the way they feel. This message was meant for them too. And if you want to remain connected to this frequency, to continue receiving the transmissions your soul came here for, subscribe. Stay close. You are not just watching, you are waking up. Your Pleiadian family is already celebrating the version of you that remembers, and we are just beginning.